Was it fluid? Was it the right one? Was there enough understanding between you and the players? Do you feel that you connected with the players through language?
I had conversations with players for 20 minutes or half an hour, practically every week, individually as well. And when I finished the conversation, I went to the delegate of the team and asked him if the message had been understood. And he always told me, "UNAI, logically there are things that could be better, but everything is understood." And the expressions on the players' faces suggested that they were getting what I was trying to say. Also, I used my body language, which is another effective way of communicating. It's true that when you went to a press conference after losing, it was more difficult. Generally, there would be 2 questions about the game, or one particular issue. In this case, there would be 6 or 7 about what happened during the game, and there would be 2 or 3 where you had to answer readily, and you could explain what had happened and how you could sort it out. But then the 4th, 5th, and 6th became harder because I needed to find new ways to say the same thing. But I think with humility, I've made an effort to understand the English. But the language barrier becomes bigger in people's eyes because of the results. I think if the results had been good, like in the previous season, people would have allowed me to make mistakes, and they would have found my English more acceptable than focusing just on my mistakes.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because I used to listen to you and I didn't hear the UNAI EMERY that I knew. I mean, you were explaining now very well what has happened with the team. And when you don't have a complete command of the language, you sound like a different person. You talk about the relationship with some of the players, for instance Ramsey. How is it that Ramsey was allowed to leave?
When I arrived at the club, there were 2 situations. One, Wilshere, and the other one was Ramsey, where the club had to make a decision. Ramsey was in the last year of his contract, and the financial considerations were a key part of the decision. Jack Wilshere also had the possibility of renewing. But after speaking to me, I told him how important he was and how I respected what he was going to do next. I counted on him without guaranteeing him how important he was going to be, whether or not he was going to be a regular in the 11. However, he decided to leave and find another place at West Ham. And Aaron Ramsey was a club decision. His contract was just not renewed. He was in the last year. I used him when I had it. I think his injury against Napoli was crucial for us in that last part of the season. Using him would have helped us a lot because he gave a lot. But what was going to happen with his contract was a decision between the club and the player.
Since the departure of Arsene Wenger, there have been different people carrying out the same role. There's a new structure in place. There is a transition that I guess hasn't finished yet. You've remained in your place on the bench. What do you think is the best structure for a coach like you?
With Raul, I had a clear idea that I shared with Ivan Gazidis, which is the role of the football director, working next to Vinay and Raul. And also, it would be an intermediate point between the coach and the team, and that would be covered by Edu. So we agreed that the structure was strong. Edu came in a bit later than expected because he was with the Brazil national team until July. And Edu is doing a good job. I had a connection with Edu and Raul that needed time to settle, more time than we actually got. Edu had to get to know the club inside. I sat with him many times and we'd talk. What do you think about the team? I'd get information. I would tell him, and then I'd see what he can interpret from what you feel from the players. Little by little, we would find a way to progress within the team. I think Edu needed and still needs this time. But the structure the club is building with Raul and Edu and with the coach is the structure that needs to be reinforced.
Inside the squad, you also need structures and hierarchies. You have to say, for instance, who the captain is, who the leaders are. Did you feel sorry about the decision you made, you and your players, because it was a joint decision, of having Granit Xhaka as the captain?
The main captains last year was Koscielny, Cech, Ramsey and Nacho Monreal, and they all left the team. So the natural leader in the changing room, because of his values and what he represented, was Granit Xhaka. There was a vote to see if what I felt about him was also felt by the players, and they did. Circumstances meant that Granit Xhaka had a clash with the fans, but he is the leader, and the team needs him then, and they also need him now. They need him because of the values he represents, because of the respect that everyone had for him, and because of his experience. But from the moment he stops being captain, there are other players who also have the capacity to take over, like Aubameyang, Ozil, Lacazette. But the hierarchies within a team have to be established with values, the strength of the squad, and also what happens on the pitch. The coach has to let things flow naturally and allow the leadership to be established. Logically, I am the one who decides who will be the captain, but the players get to tell me who they perceive as a captain. What made it difficult was that the four principal captains left, and new people had to take on the responsibility. These things need a process of settling and adjusting to where in the how man that is very important to me and very necessary for this transition to take place.
Another important player you had at Arsenal was Mesut Ozil. How was your relationship and how did you plan to get the best out of him?
I've had a lot of conversations with Ozil. He's very important for the team. There are games in which you see Mesut's brilliance linking with the attack, but also I had to find players around him in which he felt comfortable. Also, the team needed to feel solid, and when you, bit by bit, build a team that is aggressive, intense, as well as structured for good pressure, we also have to find a space for Mesut so he can give us an important part of the game, which is his brilliant talent. To do so, I have to find the right connections between players, the right tactics. I was very motivated to try to find that. I wanted Lacazette, Aubameyang and Mesut to work together, each one of them with their own characteristics. But there were times when I had to leave one of them out of the 11. You try to find a team that is competitive, and I found it last season, but sometimes, for one reason or another, for instance, the injury of Lacazette, or Mesut being out for almost a month with the problems he had with the recent attempted robbery, which made him less available. There was a time when I couldn't use the three of them together. The capacity to try to find how to put together the three different qualities of these players was a tactical motivation for me.
Do you think everyone in the squad, the club, the fans, understood what you wanted to do with Mesut Ozil and the potential he has right now?
Ozil is a very important player if you can find a way to make it work with other players. He has a talent that allows other players to be better, but when you want more aggressive pressure, he does not have the best qualities for that. Then you have to look for, and we did work a lot in training, situations where our opponents couldn't find lines and passes to attack us easily. And you have to find the players who can help you with that. For instance, last year in our best moment, it was the knockout stages against Valencia and Napoli, playing with 3-4-1-2 formation. We had Mesut or Ramsey playing. Ramsey was very capable of applying the pressure we demanded. With Mesut, there was less pressure, but we had more capacity of having the ball and his brilliant combinations with the ball. I used to play tactically, depending on the characteristics of our players. If the pressure was high or not so high, aggressive or less aggressive. If Mesut was in the team, or Ramsey, or Lacazette, or Aubameyang, these were tactical demands that, for a coach, are wonderful to experience and to explore.
But there were games when Ozil was not playing. Why was that?
There were games when he was not available because of his injury, or he wasn't well. And there were tactical decisions, including changing things during games. On one occasion, we changed things in the last minute of 45 of the first half, but those are things that happen during a game anyway. And there were games in which he started on the bench. I remember there was an important game away against Spurs last year where we eventually drew 1-1, where Aubameyang and Mesut were on the bench. And I told the two of them, you're going to be very important when you come on. Be prepared to be important in a situation that is perhaps new for you. That's when you feel that a coach has to make decisions. It's important, very important, to make players, important players, feel better even when they're sitting on the bench. And on that day, Aubameyang came out, had an option to win with a penalty in the 90th minute. And Mesut played 15 minutes in a situation that was not normal for him, coming from the bench and making an impact. But he played really well. That's a good moment as a coach. I've actually lived some very good moments at Arsenal, and I really want to keep hold of that. These management and tactical decisions with different characteristics of footballers, how you can put them together and make it work. To be able, in a moment, to have Aubameyang on the bench with Lacazette playing, or the other way around, or both playing, and to make that all work. Those are my memorable moments at Arsenal. And I want to take advantage of this conversation to thank Arsenal for the opportunity it gave me to live those moments. One bad month won't take that away.
To finish with Ozil, how do you get on? Has the relationship broken down?
Mesut was one of the captains, and the conversation with him was very fluid. I spoke to him about football often. I enjoyed talking about football, and sometimes about life as well with Ozil.
Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, could it be a good marriage?
Mikel Arteta has been at Arsenal. He has been in the Premier League, and he has worked with Pep Guardiola. I think he really is prepared to make that jump. This decision that the club has taken doesn't really involve me. But I do believe that Mikel Arteta is a good decision, and I would also like it to be a good decision.
You come out of Arsenal. One morning you wake up to realise that you're not actually going to be training. You know, what's that day like?
Well, it all happened on a Friday morning. I was told. We said goodbye to the footballers. I told Raul that I'd prefer the footballers to come to me individually instead of me going to the changing room and making a big speech. And in fact, they all came, apart from Lucas Torreira. He couldn't make it, but he left us a message. I think he was receiving a massage at the moment, but all the players came anyway. I also got messages from Koscielny and from Welbeck, and I thanked them all. But now is the time to go home, to be with my people, to analyse A lot. I mean, I'll spend the next few days close to the family with my coaches. And you know, I've started doing a lot of soul searching. We all spoke to each other and questioned what we were got wrong. You know, there's been interest from other teams, but I want to just spend some time, some quiet time, and choose the right project next.
I believe that Everton came calling, and I guess that happens because people recognise that you are the man who can resolve situations. It will detract from the negativity of your sacking. How did you react to that offer?
Different teams have expressed interest to me. To be honest, I want to thank them for wanting me, and I told them that. I just want to be quiet at the moment. I need time to take a little bit of air and to choose very well the next project after so many years of not stopping managing and coaching. For the moment, it is time to rest. That would be good for my mind. To regroup ideas and to analyze mistakes that we may have made. To talk to people around me, to ask them what they saw in what I did. That's what makes me happy. And I'll end up doing that again, somewhere where they really want me, and when I have all my strength back, yeah, I need to develop my best version.
And would you go to the Premier League again?
As a coach, I started in Spain. I've had the opportunity to get to know Russia, to work in France, and to work in England in the Premier League. And that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy preparing games. I enjoy being on the pitch, analysing rivals, analysing and preparing our team for the game. That makes me happy. And I'll end up doing that again, somewhere where they really want me and when I have all the strength that I need to develop my best version. And if it's in the Premier League, that'll be good too.